Hi, my name's Chef Robert Sevely, and welcome to Flavor of Riverside. Today, we're doing a show in honor of Diabetes Awareness Month, and we're gonna do all these different recipes, all based around a diabetic diet. This is really close to my heart because I have several friends that are diabetics, but my brother is also a type 1 diabetic. We're basically gonna just be like really watching our carbs and our sugar intake. So we're gonna do 3 different major recipes today. And so the first one is we're gonna do a lasagna roll that's using eggplant. And so we're gonna have sausage and we're gonna have some cheese and all kinds of really great stuff. We're gonna make our own marinara sauce. Then we're gonna go into a stir-fried rice utilizing cauliflower instead of rice. And then lastly, we're gonna do a bib taco. It's New York steak, it has a chimichurri sauce, very Spanish flavors. And then instead of the tortilla, we're using bib lettuce, almost like a lettuce wrap. First thing that we're gonna do is the marinara sauce. So I just have like a stainless steel pot. I got like a medium flame underneath it. I'm using my buddy from Lot 22, Zach's olive oil. Little bit of that in there. Like literally probably about a quarter cup or so. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get some onions in. We wanna make sure we're hearing that sizzle. And believe it or not, I'm gonna get some carrots in. I'm not adding any sugar or honey or any kind of that. We're gonna get a little extra sweetness from the carrots, and the carrots help pull out any bitterness that might be in the tomatoes. So in go carrots. You won't even know that they're in there once I'm done. Then we have basically 3 different dried herbs. We have oregano, sweet basil, and thyme. So we're gonna add a touch of those. That's the oregano. And then I'm gonna add 1 big bay leaf. That way I can find it. So that goes in. And give this a nice saute. And we're just gonna let those cook for a bit. Then the tomato product that we're using are called San Marzanos. Now you can get these at just about any grocery store nowadays. But they're basically an Italian plum tomato or Roma tomato. They have lots of natural sugars. There's no added sugar in the can. They're just a nice ripe tomato. Now when you're thinking about like a diabetic diet, this is one thing that you have to watch, is anything that might be high in natural sugars. When talking to my brother, the one that has the type 1 diabetic, my brother Jim, he really talks about, he tries to stick in about like 30 grams of carbohydrates per meal. But then, you know, if you're doing the whole insulin thing, or if you're just like on some sort of medication, obviously talk to your doctor. Obviously let them know what your diet is. I've also been told about a couple of good free apps that you can get on your phone. One is called Calorie King, and then the other one is called Carb Manager. All right, so now I'm gonna add some wine, a little bit of wine. So this is a Cabernet Sauvignon. It's a very low sugar wine for a lot of wines, so it's not sweet, but it is gonna help with the depth of flavor to our sauce. So I added right about a cup or so. And then we're gonna add our tomatoes here in a second, once this comes to a boil and it reduces a bit. But let's start talking about eggplant. So we want as big of an eggplant as we can get. And we are gonna slice it really thin. We're gonna roast these in the oven. We're gonna just cut off the top, so just where the stem's at. And then we're gonna take it and we're gonna use our knife. If it's easier for you to use a serrated knife for this, you can do that. But then we're gonna try to slice these as thin as we can. And you notice I'm just getting my knife in and I'm kind of holding it up and I'm just drawing it straight back. That way I can get it the thickness that I want, and you can see here how thick it is. Let me do like one more. And I have a bunch of these sliced already. And if you have one that messes up on you, just discard it and get rid of it. But we want to leave the skin on the outside. That's going to help us keep the structure of the eggplant itself. And then you just sort of stack them up, set them aside. And so then I'm going to take a little bit of olive oil, lay that down. I might even use a piece of eggplant to kind of smear it all over the place. I'll preheat my oven to 350 degrees is all you're really looking for. And then from here, we're going to lay these down, kind of overlapping them like so. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So this is going to make 4 different rolls. And then we're going to take it and we're going to hit it with a little bit of olive oil on top. Kind of smooth that around a bit. And then now these go into the oven. So this is going to act as our pasta. This is going to still have a little bit of bite to it, but it's going to hold everything together like a lasagna noodle. So into the oven we go. Now, I have several of these that we've already done. And you can see I have them layered up. But before we move on with this, let's add our tomatoes. The San Marzano tomatoes, you can get them whole, you can get them as a puree or as a sauce. This is, see, you can see these ones are whole. So I got like, I think 1 can of whole, and then the other 2 cans are of sauce. Oh, that one's a whole one too. And then we're going to start bringing this to a boil. This will take a minute. And as far as like cooking your sauce, you can cook it anywhere from like, I would say like, 10, 15 minutes, all the way up to maybe an hour or so. I'm going to get a lid on it, which is going to help me out. I want to make sure I don't scorch the bottom, but we want to also start talking about cheese here. So, what are my cheeses? I have a ricotta. I have a low moisture, or just like what most people would think of as a mozzarella versus a fresh mozzarella. And then I have some really nice Parmesan, which I grated myself. And you can get it already grated if you want. But what we're going to do is we're going to mix these together. So whether I'm making a lasagna or I'm making these rolls, this is basically the procedure I'm going to do. So I'm going to take my ricotta, all of it, and this is basically 2 pounds of ricotta. You might not need that much, all depending on how many people you're cooking for. And so then I'm going to add right about half of this or so of the mozzarella, and then some of my Parmesan. Not quite half of that one. And then I'll also add a little bit of parsley. And then some salt. So that's kosher salt that I'm using, like always. And then some fresh cracked pepper. So we'll get plenty of that in there. I really am a huge fan of cracked pepper. And when you're eating anything, anytime I'm cooking, I'm always striving for flavor. And so I think it's even more so when you start talking about like special diets, especially when you're trying to cook for somebody that's maybe not used to eating this way. Maybe they just got diagnosed a diabetic. And so you're having to adjust some things for them. They're thinking of lasagna rolls and they want the pasta. So if we can really hit them hard with flavor and have that come out, then they're going to be more accepting of the diet itself, of the products that you're putting in front of them, the food that you're putting in front of them. So I'm going to now just kind of mix this together. And then this will be ready to go. Now, if you wanted to just do this and not do any kind of meat, you could. And make this maybe even a little bit more vegetarian if you're trying to stay away from like beef and pork and chicken and stuff like that. That would be fine. But I also have some Italian sausage here. And so this is going to be absolutely delicious. And so all I did was I took, you know, it needs to be cooked for this recipe. So instead of like cooking it in front of you, but this is sausage removed from the casing, or you can actually buy it already, you know, just ground sausage. And it's Italian sausage. And so I just lightly cooked it up in a little bit of olive oil. I cooled it off. I made sure it was well chopped up. And so this is ready to go. So we're gathering all of our things here. Now I need to hit this with a little bit of sauce. And I might cheat a little bit, which I feel like is fine. And what I mean by cheating a little bit is just steal a little bit of this tomato sauce out of here. Now we have a little bit of sauce in the sausage itself. And then from here, we can actually start building our rolls. So we have plenty of flavors going on. So now we're going to take our rolls. And the other thing that we have is we have our casserole dish too, that everything's going to be going into. But I'll build the rolls on a sheet pan first. And so they're all ready to go. So I'm going to take a little bit of cheese, put some cheese in each one. Just like so. Then take a little bit of the sausage mixture and put that in the middle of each one. Just like so. All right, and then I'll proceed to just kind of roll them up. I want to make sure I'm checking my sauce, and my sauce is almost ready to puree. I'm mostly, for time's sake and everything as we're doing this, I'm mostly just wanting those carrots and those onions to be really nice and soft, and then we're gonna go ahead and get that pureed up. All right, so now we're gonna roll these. And we're just taking the back. You're not trying to like enclose them like a burrito or anything like that, but we're just trying to make these nice, beautiful little rolls. Like so. They look so delicious, and they are just absolutely delightful. You know, I think whoever you make this for, no matter what kind of diet they're on, they're gonna love this dish. They're really gonna love this dish. My wife and I eat this, you know, at least once a month or so. We're very diverse with what we make at home. So you can see, those are ready to go in. Let me get this sauce pureed. I'll start doing that now. And what I like to do is I just like to pull out my immersion blender. And it makes it so easy versus trying to like transfer this to like your big like margarita style blender. And so these immersion blenders, I don't even have to take it off the stove. I can just get it right into here. And these immersion blenders just do a fantastic job. Now, if I see the bay leaf, I want to get it out of there. That way I'm not grinding that up in. You can see it has it all moving around. It's completely pureed. You can't tell that there's carrots in it or anything. And it looks gorgeous. All right, so all done pureeing. It looks like a great consistency. We'll just set that aside. And then I want to make sure I give it a taste. I'm mostly just, at this point, I'm checking for salt and pepper. I wouldn't want to add like more dried herbs into it or anything like that. That should be fine. Really hot. Oh, it's really tasty. I am going to add a little more salt. A little pepper. Get that stirred in. All right, great. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna ladle some of my sauce in the bottom of my casserole dish. I'll bring it over, and I'm going to put my rolls into my dish, like so. I'm going to make a few more. Add some of the sausage. Roll them up like we did before. All right. So now we'll take the rest of the lasagna rolls. We're going to coat them with a little bit of the marinara sauce over the top. We're going to hit them with a little bit of the cheese. A little bit of the Parmesan cheese. And then into the oven. And then here's our eggplant that we had in there. These, I'll let them cool completely, and then I can start using them to roll, and I could get some more rolls going. And so we're gonna wait, that 20 minutes or so. If you wanna really check them on the internal temperature, like with a meat thermometer or something like that, you're gonna want them to come up to 160 degrees. That's gonna help out to double check to see if they're done and everything's heated through. But we're gonna get cleaned up. We're gonna move on to our next recipe. We'll serve up the lasagna rolls. I hope you guys are gonna try this one at home, and we'll see you just in a few minutes. All right, we're back. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna do the cauliflower stir-fried rice. You can buy this now in the grocery store. You can find it in the frozen section. Sometimes even in the produce section where it's fresh, it will already be ground up, depending on what store you go to. But this is so easy if you have a food processor. So all we need are cauliflower florets. And we're using the white florets today because we want it to look like rice. But man, if you wanted to do like, say, a saffron rice looking one or something along those lines, you can still utilize the saffron. But, you know, say I'm making like a Spanish paella or something like that. But you can get the golden cauliflower. We could use purple cauliflower, we could use green cauliflower, we could use a mix, and it could be just absolutely beautiful. But to start off, let's try to make it look like rice. So we're just gonna get this all in here. We're gonna turn it on. You just kind of let it go. If it starts like freezing up, what you can do is you can start pulsing. And you just sort of pulse away. What you don't want to do is just let it run and run and run. And so maybe I even started off with a little bit much in here, and I should have done it in batches, but we'll give it a little bit of a stir. I'm always kind of hard on my equipment. And so I've often said I should be a product tester, because if I can break something, I'll break it. If something can be broke, I'll break it. So we'll just sort of keep this going. There it goes. There, I think I am done. All right, there still might be a few bigger chunks in here. And as I get it out, so I'll start removing it now. But you can see how it's like just sort of broken up. Almost kind of looks like cheese, or maybe even like, looks like kind of like chopped garlic or something like that. But you can see it. It really holds up well during the cooking. And it's gonna look like rice for the most part. So I get this all out of here. I'm leaving my other few pieces that are still big. Get my top back on. All right, good to go. So that was 2 heads of cauliflower. It's really up to you on how much you're making, how many people you're feeding. You know, sometimes cauliflower heads are bigger than others, but I just cut the green part off, the green stemmy part off, and then I cut it into florets, or, you know, little flowers. So now we're gonna get everything else going here. Let me just clean myself up a second. All right, so now we're gonna have like basically a fried rice. So we have all these ingredients out in front of us, anywhere from onions to ham to cashews, asparagus, edamame, green onions. I have eggs, I have shiitake mushrooms that we're gonna talk about. In fact, let's talk about the shiitake mushrooms for a second. You know, I like to get the dried ones. You can get fresh ones too. But these have a very, very earthy flavor. You can get them in most your Asian sections of your grocery store. And they come dried. This is what they look like dried. They're fairly inexpensive. They're going to be cheaper than the fresh ones. And what's nice is, so I just take them and I rehydrate them in a little bit of warm tap water. It only takes like probably about 10 minutes. And then this is what they look like. You can see now they're very, very pliable. But then we're just going to chop these up. We'll julienne them first. And then we'll go through and we're just dicing them up. And everything's basically the same size. Everything's cut into the same size, okay? All right, so now let's get to stir frying. So I'm gonna move one pan over to here. I'm gonna get a high flame on both of them. Okay, so then I have sesame oil. And I'm gonna add some sesame. Oh man, that smells good. And it's quite a bit of oil. because I am sauteing so many different things. So I'm using a little bit of sesame oil and actually a little bit of olive oil. Like so, about like that. And then in one of the pans, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my eggs. So I'm just going to get these whisked together. And I'm using, you know, obviously cage-free. I like to use organic eggs. I like to shop at places like Sprouts or Trader Joe's. And, you know, mostly because I like to get like as much of my stuff as possible being organic and, you know, organic vegetables at least and stuff. But these are even organic eggs. So I'm going to go into this pan. Get rid of this bowl. Get another bowl for them to go into. All right, so now while the eggs are going, I'm going to start over here. I'm going to go in with onions, celery, and carrots. My so-called omelet here, my eggs for my stir fry. I'm just going to cook these till they're fully cooked, and then I'm getting them out of here. I just sort of break them up pretty good because remember these are going to go into the rice. Okay, this will add a little extra protein here, but now I'm going to just get them out of the pan. Pan back on. Go in with a little bit more sesame oil. A little bit more olive oil. And then in here, I'm going to go in with my ham. And I'm going to start browning it. So I keep my flames really high. And I like to use two pans because I really try hard not to overcrowd the pans. Once I start overcrowding, I start to steam everything together instead of saute. I want to maintain the heat really high. And if I feel like I'm steaming too much, then I'll get that item out. And just like I did with the eggs, I'll get it out and I'll add it back in later. And so the veggies are starting to go. Let the ham go for a bit. All right, so then we have garlic that we're going to get in here. So in goes my garlic. In goes my ginger. We're going to saute this in. Oh, it smells wonderful in here. You know, and depending on how big of eaters everybody is in your family, you know, the recipe that I put together will feed anywhere from like 4 big eaters, 6 kind of average, or even 8, like if you wanted to just serve this as a side dish, is an option too. All right, so a lot of times with the ham, there's quite a bit of water mixed in with the ham. Just ham can tend to be kind of juicy. And so this is looking really good. I think I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get it out and I'm gonna put it in with the eggs. Trying to leave some of that liquid behind, that water. All right, and then I'm gonna get rid of that in my sink. That back on the flame. Those veggies are getting nice and soft and tender. All right, a little bit more sesame oil. A little bit more olive oil. All right, so now I'm gonna go in with my asparagus. Start sauteing that. And also go in with my shiitake mushrooms. That all come together. And then as this cooks, I'm gonna start mixing all this stuff together. So then let's go in with our edamame. I'm not gonna quite add all of this. This is one whole bag, so add some of that. Then, other thing I wanna do is, you know, a lot of Asian food, like Chinese, like American Chinese food has a lot of sugar in it. Like, you take anywhere from like orange chicken or a lot of stir fry or like hoisin sauce, has a lot of sugar in it. So I was like, how can I get a lot of flavor into this rice without adding sugar? And so one of the ways that I figured was with red Thai curry paste. And so I'm going to take a little bit of that. And this can be spicy, so depending on how much spicy you like, I'm going to take right about like maybe a tablespoon and a half. And then I'm going to take some of my soy sauce, put that in there. And then I have a little bit of chicken stock here. I'm going to add some chicken stock. And then we're just going to whisk this together. And mostly I want to do this too because I want the red curry to not go into here as a paste because it'd be hard to mix all in. I want it to go in as a broth. Oh, that's looking great. Okay, now this is all looking good. I can tell that the asparagus is bright green. Everything's like, all the green is really bright green. And so I'm going to add this into here. I'm going to toss this around. And then I'm going to split it up. All right, now I'm going to get in my cauliflower. So in goes my cauliflower, half here, half here. Just like that. Then in goes my ham, my egg. Gonna chop up that egg a little more and then start tossing this all in. Now a lot of people will think, oh man, that's just gonna be so veggie. And it's not really. The flavor that comes off, half the time if you close your eyes, you're gonna think that you're eating rice. So let's get this one together. This is something that you just have to try, and I think that you're going to find, depending on what you put into it, that we can make this flavored and taste so many different ways. Scott, my producer, and I were talking earlier before class, and we were talking about you could make a risotto cauliflower rice. We could make, you know, the saffron rice paella. We can make any kind of like rice pilaf, like as maybe a side dish or something like that with lots of herbs and stuff. I mean, any rice dish that you can think of, we could just substitute the cauliflower and you just want to add it at the end. It's fantastic. So now what we're going to do is we're just kind of heating this through. Now we're going to add some cashews. That's going to give us really good crunch. Shoot, let's add all. All right, and then we're gonna take our liquid. So half here, and if I have more, if I feel like I need to make more, I'll make more. So now I'm just gonna start stirring this in. You can see that I just added all that liquid, and that cauliflower is just absorbing it, just as if it was rice. It's just coming right together. Oh, this smells, it looks wonderful. Okay, so now these are pretty much done. Now I want to taste them. So good. Great flavor. Not too much heat. I can really taste everything that's in there. Anywhere from the ham to the nuts to the sesame seed oil. All this great flavor. So I'm going to get these shut off. So just take a nice plate of some sort. And if you wanted to, I could even marry these together. Set this aside. This way everything's going to be kind of flavored the same. Sorry, get them tossed together a little bit. And then just going to put a nice big helping in the center of a plate. Just like so. Hit it with a little bit of green onions. If you had some sesame seeds or something like that, it'd be beautiful. That is your stir-fried cauliflower rice. I mean, outstanding. It's gonna taste fantastic. I already tasted it. It tastes amazing. And so we're gonna be right back. We're gonna do one more for you with the chimichurri steak, and really try this recipe at home, okay? All right, see you in a minute. All right, so for this recipe, it's basically going to be a New York steak, grilled New York steak chimichurri bib taco. The bib is bib lettuce. And so let me just show that really fast so you see what I'm talking about. So you can buy these organic boxes of lettuce. This is called bib lettuce or butter lettuce or Boston lettuce. They'll call it 3 different things. I think this one actually says butter lettuce, organic butter lettuce. What it looks like is it's these perfect little cups like so. And so they work really well for like doing lettuce wraps and stuff like that. And so that's why we're using this. But you could use, you know, romaine or iceberg or something like that of your choice. But next, the main star of the event here is the New York steaks. And so we have these beautiful thick New York steaks. I have a grill pan that's going. But as I season these up, let's just talk barbecues for a minute. Obviously, if we were outside, I'd be doing this on a barbecue. And so I'm starting out with some fresh cracked pepper here. But what I want to do with my barbecue is I want to turn my barbecue on, preferably as high as it will go. I want to have the lid down. And I want it just to like burn anything off. Heat sanitizes everything. You know, if you get stuff hot enough, which you're going to get your barbecue to at least like 350, maybe 400, maybe 500 degrees, right? So we want to get the barbecue really hot, really sanitary before we start using it. Then I would hit it with a grill brush, okay? Wire grill brush, I get it really good and clean that way. Get ready for, you know, anything you're going to go for. I'm hitting it with salt on this side. And then now, if you used marinade or anything like that, I would get all the marinade off of your meat or your chicken or whatever you're grilling, and I'd pat them dry. You want them good and dry. These today, we're just doing salt and pepper, and then we're gonna hit these with a little bit of oil. And so, a little bit of oil on there is fine. What we don't want is there to be so much oil on there that it's just dripping and it's going to get flare-ups. And so then I'm also going to have another little bowl and a paper towel, and I'm going to get this all folded up like so, and I'm going to put some oil in this bowl. And then I can start by kind of using this as like a brush, and I can brush the steaks just so they have a nice sheen of oil. If you have like some sort of silicone grill brush or something that you use for this sort of thing, I wouldn't use like a sauce mop or anything like that. And what's nice about this is it's disposable, okay? Then I'm gonna walk out to my barbecue with my steaks, go over, and I'm going to oil the grill itself, just like so. And what this is gonna do is it's going to paint all the grill bars with just a little bit of oil versus spritzing it on and having that flare up as it goes out, or using some sort of aerosol oil or something like that where you don't know what's in it. This, we know that we're using good oil. And then any sort of leftover dirt, we actually end up getting it off of there. We throw those to the side. Now, we're gonna get these steaks on. Just like so. Now, let me get rid of this plate. And what we want is we want this good and high. I leave my lid up at this point. My lid is up on my barbecue. The difference between actually a barbecue and a professional grill is the lid. A professional grill that's like in a restaurant does not have a lid on it. Once you close that lid, you've actually created an oven. And so we want these steaks to be like medium rare or something along those lines. And so we're gonna leave the lid up at least 50% of their cooking time, okay? So we're gonna let these go just for like 2 minutes. We're gonna bring over the food processor, and we're gonna start on our chimichurri. Chimichurri is a Spanish sort of like condiment for meat. It's a lot like pesto, but it has vinegar and onions in it. A lot of times it's all hand rough chopped. I'm gonna do it in the food processor. So we're gonna get the lid off here. We're gonna add our ingredients. So we're gonna start with red onion, or you could use shallots or something like that. Add that in. Then we're gonna add quite a bit of garlic. All that garlic goes in. And then we're gonna add some cumin. So the spiced cumin. Now, we're gonna add fresh oregano, and that's what this is up here too. This is all fresh oregano from my garden. That goes in. Then I have parsley. And I have cilantro. And there are lots of variations on this with like different herbs and stuff. Some have cilantro, some don't. Some will have even basil and thyme and stuff like that. All right, let's spin these steaks. So all we're gonna do is turn them 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. We're gonna keep working on those grill marks. So now you let them go. I always like to kind of like pat them down so they're like really firm up against the grill. My lid is still up. Now, if I was to close my lid on this, and I'm sure you guys have done this before, whether you're making a steak or a hamburger or a chicken breast, where you throw the lid down and then you go back out there 5 minutes later and you pull the lid up, and the whole top of the chicken looks like it's cooked already or even steamed. That's because you trapped all this coming off of here inside that lid. It's gotten condensated on the top of the barbecue lid, and it's dropping down really hot condensation, like hot boiling water, onto the top of the product. And it cooks, and you don't get good grill marks. It can actually end up for like kind of a tough product, and so we let those go for a minute. All right, now we're gonna get the lid on, get this processing a minute. Then I'm gonna add some of this Honey Ball Orange Balsamic Vinegar. Now this does have some sugar in it just because but it's naturally made. It's natural sugar. I only added about like a quarter cup. So very little. Then I'm gonna add some olive oil. Just like that. A little bit of salt. Gonna stop it a minute. And it's looking, oh, it smells absolutely amazing. All right, we're gonna keep going with our steaks. Let's get these turned over. Look at that nice sear we got on there. Absolutely beautiful. Nice hard sear on these steaks. Gonna make this beautiful crust for them. And so we have all three of these steaks going. So now at this point with your barbecue, now that I've turned them over, I've cooked one side, now I can close my lid. Now, I don't ever want to do that before. So we close our lid and we keep cooking them. So about 2 minutes, and then we can check them. We can start to touch them. Here, we add a little bit of salt. We want to add some fresh cracked pepper. All right. Let me spin this one more time. I'm going to taste it. Like I said, it smells absolutely gorgeous. Ah, that's amazing. Okay. Yep. Beautiful. I'm going to get this out of here and into this bowl here as my steaks are cooking. Now, if you're doing this on a grill pan, you're wanting to do it exactly like how I'm doing it here. So my oven's between 350 and 400 degrees. And you just get some of this stuff out of the way. I'm going to spin these one more time. Let them go for another minute or so. Pull out a sheet pan, and I'm going to put these steaks on my sheet pan, and I'm going to slip them into the oven. And then we'll keep going on kind of building these out. The steaks are thick, so and you can do different types of steaks. You could even do this with chicken or even fish if you wanted to. You know, ribeyes would be good. Even a top sirloin would be great. Maybe a flank steak or even a skirt steak of some sort. But now at this point, I'm going to shut my flame off and I'm going to remove them. You can see I got another nice hard sear on that side. I'm going to remove these to the pan. And then we're going to put these right into the oven. And they're going to take roughly about 5 minutes or so in there. And we're going to get the smoke maker set aside. And we're going to talk about a few other things here. All right. One of the other things that I wanted to show is the cotija cheese. So you can get this in almost all your grocery stores now. You can even buy some of it fresh from some of the really beautiful Mexican markets that are around. But it's kind of a crumbly cheese. It's kind of like the Spanish style feta cheese, so to speak. So it comes in like a block like that. But that's what you're looking for is cotija. There's other types. It's very salty. It has a nice little funk to it, which I really, really enjoy. So then I have some radishes that I sliced really thin. And so those are going to be great garnish. We have some red onions. We have some diced tomatoes. And then we also have avocado. Okay. All right. So let's show you how to like work with an avocado for a second. So how you work with an avocado is we're going to slide the knife into the avocado to the pit. We're going to spin it around the pit. Pull this off. See the pit there. Pull that out. Now, what a lot of people will do is grab that pit and pull it off of there, and that's just really dangerous. You have this bowl, so just up and away from you, and you don't even have to deal with like trying to touch the knife blade or anything like that. Then, I already pulled this one apart. We'll pull this pith out again, just like that, up and away from you. Then there's so many ways that you can deal with this. I could slice it in here, but it can get a little tricky sometimes. Your knife can go through. What I like to do is I'll take a nice big spoon and I'll pull the avocado out of the skin, just like that. Set it down. I'll do another one. Set that aside. And then I'm just gonna take it, and I like to call it drawing lines. So I'm just gonna take my knife and I'm gonna up straight on the tip, and I'm gonna draw a line through it. And you can see the avocado stays there. If I went down through it like that, the avocado would stick to my knife. And so I just draw these lines through the avocado, like so. And then from here, if I want to fan it, I can fan it out like that, and then I can pick it up and go wherever I want to with it. Or from here, I can dice it up or anything like that. Now our steaks are out of the oven. I'm so excited. Remember, if you want to do these on your barbecue, make sure you get a separate plate, not the one that you put the dirt, the raw steaks on. Get a separate plate to bring those in. Otherwise, you have them on your sheet pan. They just came out of the oven. We want to let them rest for a bit. The whole idea behind resting is the juices inside that steak or chicken or whatever you're cooking, they're all going 100 miles an hour. If I pull them directly out of the oven or directly off the heat and just start slicing into them, those juices are going to come flooding out. So we want that all to calm down. Right about like 5 minutes for this size of a steak, we want them to like rest. So they've been resting. And so now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to start cutting into it. So I'm going to kind of go on the bias. Oh man. And I'm going to cut nice and thin. And you can see how beautiful that looks. Look at that. A beautiful like medium rare, but nice and thin for these tacos is what we want. All right. We'll set that aside. And obviously we could just serve this like this with the chimichurri. I might then also cut it this way just to make it a little bit easier to eat. All right, so now gonna bring over our plate. I have the Bibb lettuce on it. I went ahead and I doubled them up, kind of like you would with, some tortillas and stuff like that. And so I'm just gonna lay the steak on like so. Beautiful. Just like that. Maybe one more piece in each one. That's gorgeous. We'll set these aside. Let me get this sort of cleaned up a second. All right, so then now we have all the stuff. Of course, we have the chimichurri. Okay, so we're gonna take this chimichurri. We're gonna put a nice portion of that right over the top. Gorgeous. A little bit of tomatoes. And at this point, you could just have your guests kind of build their own, Some radishes on here. Like 2 or 3 radishes. Put these in the center of the table. Let everybody kind of go to town. A little bit of red onion. And last, you like slice avocado on each one. Let's see here. This avocado's super ripe, which means it's delicious, but they do like to fall apart when they're ripe. All right. Actually, I got a lot of stuff going on. Then a little bit of cotija cheese. All right. So this is your New York chimichurri bib tacos. Very much a diabetes style dish, you know, diabetic diet style dish. They just look absolutely gorgeous. And so now we're gonna bring out all the dishes and we're gonna just show you everything that we did today. Really excited to eat some of this food. And so we'll be right back. All right, so this is the conclusion of our Diabetes Awareness Month cooking show for the Flavor of Riverside. What we have is we have the cauliflower rice. Absolutely delicious, lots of stuff going on in there. We have the lasagna rolls with the eggplant, just absolutely delicious. And then we have the chimichurri New York steak bib tacos. I'm gonna now bring my wife on, not so often that we get a little bit of a break. And so we're gonna enjoy some food, we're gonna enjoy some friends. You wanna taste the rice?
Yeah, it looks yummy.
It does look really good.
Oh, that's delicious.
Mm.
Good job.
All right, so we hope that you guys enjoy these recipes. Try them at home. From my family to your family, everybody keep cooking. Thanks, we'll see you next time on Flavor of Riverside.